Well, hey there, what is up, Abernathy Antelope football fans? Ty Horsford with you again here, the voice of the Antelopes. The final Friday of the 2019 regular season is upon us. It's hard to believe that the regular season commences Friday night as the Abernathy Antelopes hit the road for the final time in the 2019 campaign, and they will take on the longtime rival, maybe not so much in recent years, but over the years, the longtime rival, the Idalou Wildcats. This is the Abernathy Antelope pregame show, the final regular season edition of the pregame show as we get you ready for the Abernathy Antelopes traveling to Riddell Field, just about a 20-minute drive here from Abernathy to battle those Idalou Wildcats. Should be a fun one to close out the regular season. Idalou will be one of the toughest challenges that Abernathy has faced to this point in the season. As the Idalou Wildcats, they come in at 6-3 overall on the season, a battle-tested 6-3, and they are 3-1 in district play, just one game behind the Abernathy Antelopes. Abernathy comes in 8-1 on the season, and they do not have a blemish in district play. They are 4-0 coming into this one in the district race. A few notes about this game before we preview the Wildcats. Last year, these two teams actually haven't met up until last year. Since 2009, they renewed the rivalry a season ago as the Idalou Wildcats made the trip to Abernathy and Antelope Field the final Friday night of the regular season. And on that night, Abernathy, it was all the Antelopes. They got a 54-6 rout and a big-time win over Idalou. You know the Wildcats. Those that were on the team last year remember that. Idalou does not get beat by that number very often at all. A very rich tradition for Idalou Wildcat football. Last week, both of these teams had big wins. You know by now, the Abernathy Antelopes, 65-0. They got the shutout over the Roosevelt Eagles. And then last Friday night, the Idalou Wildcats went on the road and got a big-time 44-6 win, an easy win over the Stanton Buffaloes in district play. We mentioned this Abernathy's first trip to Idalou since 2009. It's been 10 years. That was Coach Darrell Daly's first season as the Abernathy Antelope football coach. What is at stake Friday night in Idalou? An Antelope win clinches the outright undefeated, undisputed district title for your Abernathy Antelopes. A loss by Abernathy, if Idalou pulled the upset of the 6th-ranked Antelopes, you would be looking at a potential three-way tie atop the district race. So hopefully the Antelopes can eliminate any of that talk, get the win, and be the undisputed district champs come Friday evening about 10:30. Hopefully we will be able to report that to you from Riddell Field in Idalou. Let's talk a little bit about this Wildcat team. We mentioned they're very battle-tested. They do have a 6-3 record. Don't let those 3 losses fool you, though. Their lone loss, a little bit surprising, came in district play. Their lone district loss, rather, came in the very first game of district as the Coahoma Bulldogs kind of got a big win on their home field against the Idalou Wildcats, 29-21 to open district play. The Wildcats, they've won 3 straight in a district since starting 0-1 in the district race. The only other 2 losses of the season for Idalou came in the non-district portion of the schedule. A 22-21 setback to a good Seminole team and a 28-25 setback to a really good Denver City ball club. So the 3 losses in 2019 for the Idalou Wildcats, they've been by a combined 12 points. So that's how close the Idalou Wildcats are to having a much better than even a 6-3 mark. Offensively, Idalou's been pretty good, averaging at 34 points per game. Defensively, they've been pretty good as well, only giving up 17 per game. So the Wildcats outscoring their opponents 34-17 through the regular season up to this point. And it's a strong Wildcat rushing attack that is going to be led by Xavier Tarrin, running back, fullback, Xavier Tarrin, as he's coming off of a big-time performance, 176 rushing yards and a couple of touchdowns in that win for Idalou against the Stanton Buffaloes last week. That plays into the favor of what has been a very, very good Abernathy Antelope defense defending the run. But Idalou will try and figure something out on the ground against that Abernathy Antelope defense that has been so good. We'll talk about them in just a second. So we mentioned the Wildcats. They've played with some good teams and in some tight games in 2019. Again, those narrow losses in the non-district schedule to Denver City and Seminole. Nothing to hang their heads about, because those are two really good football teams in the bigger classification here in 2019. So we've got a good Idalou Wildcat team playing host to the Antelopes come Friday evening. Let's switch gears just a little bit and let's chat about those Abernathy Antelopes. Man, Abernathy has just been nothing short of dominant in district play. And this is not a broken record, but this stat absolutely blows me away. Just listen to these numbers. Through 4 games in the district season, Abernathy has outscored their opponents 222-6. 3 out of 4 games have been shutouts for the Abernathy Antelope defense. The lone touchdown against this Abernathy defense actually came a couple of weeks ago in Colorado City, where the Wolves got on the board with 1 touchdown in that ball game. Offensively, the Antelopes averaging 387 yards a game. That's actually a much higher clip in district play. Overall, again, a team that wants to run the ball first, 271 rushing yards per game for this Abernathy Antelope offense. They do pass it a little bit as well, 116 yards through the air per Friday night. And then let's talk some more about that Abernathy Antelope defense. We mentioned Abernathy averaging 387 yards of total offense per game. Well, get this. This tells you how good the Antelope defense has been. If that 222-6 stat didn't, it would be this one. Abernathy has only given up 328 yards of total offense in 4 games. 328 yards of total offense. It starts up front, a very strong defensive line for the Abernathy Antelopes. But then when you've got defenders, and we could go down the list and name a lot of them, but leading the way, Matthew DeYonda, 9.5 tackles per game. Dante Flores, just under 9 tackles a game, but he leads the team with 8 tackles for loss. Man, those guys just all over the field for this Abernathy Antelope defense. And then when Abernathy has the football, of course, you've got to talk about the 4-year starter, Bryson Daly, committed to play football for the Army Black Knights. You know that by now. He leads the Antelopes in almost every offensive category as he comes in averaging for 256 yards per game. Total offenses. Out of those 256 yards per contest, 111 of those coming through the air. He's also Abernathy's leading rusher with 145 yards per Friday night on the ground. And you have to remember those numbers in really playing just half to 3/4 of these ball games in district play, as the Antelopes have had big leads in each of their 4 district ball games so far. So that's kind of a look, if you will, at the good guys. The Abernathy Antelopes come in looking to roll on their way to a 2019 undefeated district title on Friday night. But they do go into hostile territory, Riddell Field in Idalou, to battle the Wildcats on Friday night. I know you guys are kind of itching to know about what do the playoffs look like, as the Abernathy Antelopes are definitely playoff bound. Hopefully several weeks of football left for these Antelopes. But the by-district round of the playoffs, which will begin next week, actually pairs District 2, the Antelopes district, with District 1 3A of Division 2. That is Crane, Alpine, Anthony, and Reagan County. All four of those teams, the only four teams actually, are in District 1 3A. All four of them postseason bound, with the UIL taking 4 teams to the playoffs. Don't get me started on that. I think it's too many, and we'll kind of tell you why here in just a second. But in the by-district round of the playoffs, the Antelopes will battle either the Anthony Ball Club, which they actually faced in the by-district round last year, or they will also a potential opponent, the Reagan County Owls. Those two teams, Anthony and Reagan County, play on Friday night as well. The loser of that game would get the #1 seed out of Abernathy's district, District 2 3A. You've got an Anthony team that's 2-9 on the year, or 2-7 on the year, excuse me, and a Reagan County team that is 0-9 in district play. Obviously, anything can happen. The Antelopes will be a big favorite in that by-district round against either Anthony or Reagan County, but you just hate to see, and no offense to anybody, but you hate to see a team that is 2-7 or even 0-9 getting into the postseason. But that is how it shakes out, because that District 1 3A, a 4-team district, so everyone gets into the playoffs. And so we'll kind of see how that shakes out. We will know more coming up late Friday night following the Abernathy Antelope and Idalou Wildcat contest. As soon as we have that information, keep it to our Facebook page. We will let you know a potential Thursday or Friday by-district round playoff game next week for the Antelopes. Could be in a place like Kermit. I've even heard Carlsbad, New Mexico is a potential option there as well. We'll kind of have to just wait and see for the details on that by-district round of the playoffs. But that's kind of what we've got coming up for you Friday night at Riddell Field in Idalou. It's the Idalou Wildcats playing host to the Abernathy Antelopes. Should be a fun one as two longtime rivals hook up, the Abernathy Antelopes and the Idalou Wildcats. Again, Abernathy comes in. They are 8-1 on the season, 4-0 in district play, and ranked 6th in the state in the latest Dave Campbell's Texas high school football rankings. And you've got the 6-3 Idalou Wildcats. They are 3-1 in District 2 3A play. So that's what we've got coming up for you Friday night in Idalou. We'll, on the broadcast, if you can't make it out there, we'll have a 7:15 pregame prior to the 7:30 kickoff Friday night from Idalou. I hope you will join us. It should be a fun one as we close out the 2019 regular season, and hoping for an Abernathy Antelope district title to talk about come Friday night. So for now, we will say good evening here from Abernathy as we're getting ready to make the road trip to Idalou on Friday night. So have a good night, a good Friday, everybody, and God bless from A-Town. Again, this has been the Abernathy Antelope pregame show, getting you ready for the Idalou Wildcats.